Welcome back to the Air Crash Investigator, this time looking at a gyrocopter, and here we're looking at a fatal crash, and it is quite a bit of a mystery. But first, just a reminder that I'm working very closely with Seams Aircraft Auditing, and below in the description you will find everything that you need, how to get there for the safety training, accident investigation training, whatever the requirement might be. But now, the mystery of gyrocopter Zulu uniform, Bravo Delta Yankee. Beautiful machine. All right, now let's see what we can find here. The accident history. Now, as you can see, and let's look at it before you get distracted too much. Okay, this was the end result. It is seriously tragic. It burned out. The pilot himself crept out. He's alive, but unfortunately, his passenger was fatally injured. All right, 5 gyrocopters set out to visit from an airfield near Cape Town to the Gyro Dam to attend an annual event at that occasion. Wonderful. And the people normally go there. It's a wonderful get-together, and they're doing things very professional. No problem with that. And the last leg was now from Laingsburg, and that is in the southern parts of South Africa. It is a very tattered airfield, but nonetheless, that had zero sort of impact, but they put the last fuel that they required for the last leg in there. And that is where this pilot picked up his passenger, then to fly with him to Cape Town. And it's a great scenic, it's a wonderful route to go. And then the gyro under discussion picked up a passenger, as I said, and the last gyrocopter airborne. Now, the very last gyrocopter caught up with the accident gyrocopter and saw him fly very low and slow, after which he went down rapidly and crashed. That's the factual information. This is what we have. And we must try and learn something from it. I don't find anything that we need to condemn here, but I need a lot that we need to understand and learn. And a lot of things is going to be probabilities, because the facts are not necessarily very clear. Okay, and then the pilot crawled out and the passenger fatally injured. The helicopter caught fire. Now, possible causes. Take note, I'm saying possible causes. All right, possible causes. First one, engine failure or loss of power problem initiated the low main rotor RPM. Now, let's just think about a gyro. A gyro has got an engine with a propeller that pushes it through the air. The air impacts with the blades, and it keeps on turning them. So this is a parachute canopy at the top, which needs certain amount of rotor RPM. And remember, youngsters, we made these little propellers and we go, and we blow and it turns. This is the same. The air comes through, it turns it. But if the airspeed becomes less, then the turning or the energy to go from speed, which is the kinetic energy, into the turning speed of the blade, also a kinetic energy, but to change the one to the other one, that is where the problem lies. All right. So a loss of power could have had contaminated fuel. Well, you know, it was never determined. There was nothing really left. But for now, whichever the reason was for the loss of power, because there's nothing else that we can see. There's no idea that, you know, controls broke or this broke or so. But they lost main rotor RPM, which was their safety canopy, which is their wings that's keeping him in the air. And as anything, if the speed becomes too low, then lift equals coefficient of lift, half rho v squared s comes into play. And it did again this time. Now, the pilot probably overwhelmed by the gradual and, we don't know, sudden loss of power, frozen or stunned, possibly indicated of rusty emergency training. So there is a little bit of a spike in there. what I'm saying here is that, remember, how recent are you? When last did you practice? Have you practiced these things? You cannot be stunned for so long because something happened and then not go into the procedures that you must do when you are facing a certain emergency situation. That's why we do training. Now, I've been in the engine cut. If the engine stops, you know, your bowel movements are, sort of tricky. But the thing is that it's how quick can you recover? And do you know what to do? And then it must follow without trying to figure it out. You know, I've got to go into autorotation. This is what I must do. This is what I must do. This is what I must do. And quite frankly, I think the ground there was great. I could have done a walk away from this one. All right. Slow reaction to enter into the autorotation could have caused the main rotor RPM to decay. The pilot may have tried to maintain height with subsequent loss of speed, followed by rotor loss. Now, this is not a far-fetched possibility, because remember, you've got three energies. You've got mechanical energy, you've got speed, which is kinetic energy, and you've got height, which is potential. If the engine goes, okay, there's only two left, okay? The kinetic energy can only be fed by the potential or the height. But you cannot maintain height. You have to give away height to feed the other energies. Just keep that in mind. The main rotor RPM probably decayed lower than 200 RPM, which is basically a loss of control. Well, the aircraft there is not enough, as I said, in this parachute is not creating enough drag or lift, if you wish, to stay up there, and it's like a canopy collapsing, and there she goes. All right, and the impact with the ground was probably not possible, but this control of speed, the main rotor RPM, and the flare before landing could have saved the day. Oh. All right. So what I'm saying is that if you know your procedure and you've done the training and you're regular, we call it recency. And that's why every 6 months, fly with somebody. No, but I only have to test every 2 years. Okay, all right. And then you get so rusted that you get burned. I know that is a terrible thing to say. I know. But it's not wrong what I'm saying. You don't want to hear it. Please, somebody hear. Right. What lessons do we take away? Now, there's a couple here, and you can see I've got some in red, but let's stick here to the easy ones. To fly when everything is going according to the desired functionality is actually easy. Do not let anybody tell you that flying straight and level is difficult, because it is simply not. To have your hand in, or the recency, means not just the ability to fly. Everybody can fly. But the ability to handle emergency situations. So when you go to your testing officer, okay, we're just going to fly straight, then come back and I'll sign you out. This guy is signing your death warrant. And you know what? You happily accept it. Oh, okay. The situation must be avoided if the indications are picked up. I'm just going through here. Then a reaction must be practiced. Continually. And it must be done by a qualified instructor. Practice makes one move through the shock of the reality. If things go wrong, or if things become different from the norm, then you do not think, you act. We were taught to act. A gyrocopter has a mechanical parachute, but it's only functioning if the main rotor RPM is sufficient. Kinetic energy, or energy possible for speed with the rotor system, can only be provided by the engine or by putting potential energy, which is height, into kinetic energy. In other words, you've lost the engine. The only thing that you can fix the speed with rotors or forward speed is through his height. Nothing else. Nothing else. Okay. Do not shy away from being challenged in your capabilities. The more difficult exercises is worth the most when such superior capability is needed. We are scared of being tested. We are scared of going for a workout. And I'm talking about a workout in the gym. Will you sweat? You bet you're going to sweat. But you know what? If you do it once, by the third time, you're okay. Then we've polished off the rust. And you're good to go for a while. But not for 24 months. Really? And if nobody really wants to test you, maybe never. No man can retain motor skills at the highest levels without training. All right, now, take serious note. First one, a license is but a piece of paper. A license indicates capability but does not guarantee it. Wow. Am I preaching? No, I'm revealing to you the truth. A piece of paper does not make you capable. The paper is merely an indication, but it is not a proof. But the authorities must take the paper as proof. So the instructors who's doing the checking, it's up to us to make sure that the piece of paper is worth capability. All right. Avoidance of training is the mother of all flying evils. Sorry, I'll retract that maybe, I don't know. Diligence precedes competence. Okay, well, what are you trying to say there? I'm trying to say, if you cannot do the small things right, how can I trust you to do the big things right? If you don't keep your paperwork up to date, I've got a big suspicion that your capabilities has been left around behind. You're living in a dream. Okay. Flying rules are there to aid life, but only for those that cherish life. Now, that is a stinger. Because I'm saying, and remember, I'm not referring just to here, I can put these in with all the accident analysis. But listen to that last sentence. Flying rules are there to aid you. But if you don't want to aid them, well, you're going to get hurt. And therefore I say, the rules are actually for those who really wants to live. Never, ever skip a proper emergency training workout. Well,